Hey everyone, and welcome back to NDC. Today we're diving into one of the most underrated ways to make your SwiftUI app instantly feel a bit more premium and more responsive. These are those little vibrations or tactical taps that your device plays whenever something important happens. Maybe a button press, an error, a success message, or even alignment snaps on macOS. If you've ever worked in like Keynote or Photoshop on your Mac, while you're moving your finger on the trackpad, you may have felt that haptic feedback. SwiftUI has its own APIs as of iOS 17, and today I'll show you how to use it, how to make it work across platforms, and when to fall back to UIKit or core haptics if you need to. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Instead of popping alerts everywhere or relying on visuals, you can use a subtle vibration to confirm a save, warn about an error, or drag and drop interaction, make it feel a little bit more physical. Something really important up front, the simulator, as we can see here, does not play haptics. You will need to be testing on your actual physical device to feel those vibrations. If you're testing on macOS, you can test it via the trackpad. So if you have an external mouse, you may want to use the trackpad just to test them. Since iOS 17, we've actually had an API for haptics called sensoryFeedback. Let's quickly create a sample haptic feedback. I'm going to start off with a state private var here. I'm going to call this one did tap. We're going to be using this to see if a user has tapped a button or not. And when that Boolean flag flips, then we're going to trigger the haptic. Okay, in our VStack, I'm just going to add a button that says like tap me or something, right? We're going to add our braces and our did tap that we've created above. We're going to toggle it. Wonderful. Next thing we need to do is at the end of the button, so the end brace here, we're going to add the .sensoryFeedback. And you can see here we have a feedback and a trigger with a few other options. I'm going to be selecting the first option here. So within our feedback, we can choose which type that we want. I'm going to be starting off with impact, but I'm going to show you all of the different ones that you can do. So with the impact, you can see here that we can immediately just go to a trigger, and we're going to set that trigger to be based on the did tap value, flipping between true and false. Now with the impact, we can also adjust the weight here. So with the weight, we're allowed to choose a intensity. So I'm going to make this one light. So again, if you're just pressing this on the simulator, you're not going to feel any of that haptic feedback. You are going to need to connect your own phone in order to feel those vibrations. All right, and I've just grabbed a table with all the different haptic types and the descriptions. So we have the impact that we were just using, where we can also include a weight with intensity. So this is more like the physical impact. Like when a view snaps into place, you can control the weight and the intensity, which can also be used as a number from 0.0 all the way to 1.0. So you can play around with the intensity of that. There's also the selection, which I believe is like the lightest built-in tap. This is something that almost sometimes I barely even feel on my phone, especially sometimes with a case. With success, this is something you may even want to pair with the success cases of alerts and etc. This confirms a task or action. So all of these different haptics, and you can test them all out on your own device, are going to have a little bit of a different feel to them. These are feels that Apple has been using within their own applications to kind of build that recognition. So if you want to say when you have an error, maybe someone doesn't get logged in properly, use that .error haptic type in order to create that recognizability. Now, these last two here, the alignment and level change, these are only available on macOS. So the alignment, you may have experienced this. I always find I'm encountering it with like Keynote, when you're kind of dragging things around, and even when you get those snap grids, while using that trackpad, you have that sensory feedback. Level change is that more movement or direct levels or pressure change on the trackpad. Definitely check out these types. Again, these last two are macOS only. You can also make your trigger conditional. For example, only play haptic when a list goes from empty to non-empty maybe to signify that's being populated. Okay, I just want to quickly talk about the old way with UIKit. I don't think anybody's supporting iOS 16 or earlier anymore, but just in case you are, we're going to go ahead to the top of our file and import UIKit. Don't worry, no storyboarding here today. This is kind of the way we used to have to do it, where we'd have to establish a feedback. And we're going to be using the UI notification feedback generator. We want to have those empty parameters there. We're then going to look at that feedback, and we're going to use the notification occurred. And then within the kind of brackets here, we can see that we have our raw value, or we have success, error, or warning. So those do align to those other ones that we saw in our list earlier. Now, if you wanted that more classic impact like we made in SwiftUI, we'd establish a impact, and this time it's going to be UI impact feedback generator. Now within the brackets, I would recommend including a style. You don't necessarily need the view here, but for this style, we can choose heavy all the way through soft. Let's do medium here. And we don't actually need that view. Instead, I would then have an impact occurred. And that's if you wanted to do it the old-fashioned way with UIKit. Otherwise, I would use the SwiftUI version we showed off at the first part. Just remember that these don't work on macOS or iPad because those devices don't have vibration motors. So yes, haptic is different depending on the device. For the iPhone, full haptic engine, all patterns work. For the iPad, there's no haptic hardware. Haptic calls do absolutely nothing. You'll maybe want to pair haptics with a sound or maybe a quick visual change on any iPad models. Apple Watch, it actually has its own haptic types. You can see we have the success and warning again, the impact intensity. This time it also has selection, start, stop, and alignment. So these ones are the Apple Watch specific ones. For macOS, those trackpad ones, the alignment and level change, anything like success won't do anything. So you're kind of limited to just alignment and level change for macOS. This is a weird one to do a video on because it's harder to kind of see the impacts. So this is definitely something you're going to have to play around with on your own device. But let's talk a little bit about best practices. So one, use the right pattern for the right moment. Success for success, error for errors. Don't break those user expectations. Also, don't overdo it. You don't want your phone to like be buzzing constantly. Otherwise, people will turn haptics off or uninstall your app. You also want to be consistent. If one success action vibrates, all of the other ones should also vibrate. But again, don't overdo it. Also, respect any system settings. Users can disable haptics, don't override that, and provide those alternatives for iPad and macOS. They don't vibrate, use a sound, color change, or any animations to fill in the gaps. And always test on real hardware. Again, we can't really simulate the tap me on the content view on the preview here, but with your actual iPhone, it will work no problem. So when should you be using haptics and what kind of style would I recommend? Any button confirmations, probably an impact with a weight of light. Any successful save or submit, maybe success, or invalidation error, or you can't log in, the dot error is fine. Any picker changes, maybe a toggle flips, you can use the dot selection to pull to refresh or trigger, you know, when you kind of slide down, like when you get to the bottom of your YouTube or maybe Instagram feed and you want to refresh those. Probably the impact with a weight of medium. Any drag and drop or snapping on macOS, use the alignment. Any threshold crossings, maybe max volume reached, you can use the dot increase or dot decrease. So if you have a custom volume slider and you want that haptic feedback there, totally feel free to use the increase and decrease. These tiny little touches add a ton of polish to your app. I know we didn't do too much coding in this one, but hopefully with this chart and kind of playing around with haptics on your own real device, you can get a better sense of how and when to use them. I will be putting this sample project, although there's not too much in it, on my GitHub pages if you want to test this out on your real device. And that's it for haptics in SwiftUI, from covering the modern sensory feedback to also the old style of UIKit. You can get some Apple-like polish in your apps. Haptics are a great way to make your app feel a lot more user-friendly and accessible too, honestly. If you want a follow-up video on core haptics, that's where you can actually build custom patterns and sync them to audio or animations. Comment below and maybe I'll go ahead and create that. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy putting haptics in your application. Dream big, code bigger. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.